Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 26 of The Slam. I'm your host, Tango with Tango. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Tango with Tango. And I think this is episode 26, but who really cares about the episode number? Today's news is actually really good if you are a indie wrestling fan and a WWE fan. So if you're a little bit more than a casual fan, you're probably going to like this news. I have a lot of opinions on this particular topic, so we're just going to dive right into it. Guys, Ricochet is reportedly coming to WWE NXT in 2018. Now, what's really cool about Ricochet finally coming to WWE, he's always talked about it in interviews. He's always seen the destination of his choice being NXT first, then eventually going into Raw or SmackDown. But what's really cool about Ricochet coming to the WWE in 2018 is it's pretty much set in stone. Reports have come out that Ricochet is expected to debut in WWE anytime after January, leading up to WrestleMania weekend. Now, me personally, with Royal Rumble coming up, I think it's a wonderful idea to have Ricochet debut during NXT TakeOver. I think you should do it. I think whether or not he's actually competing or if you just want to announce it like they've done before, I think it makes a lot of sense here. Now, me personally, with the idea that Ricochet is going to come to WWE, he's not the only indie star that has actually reportedly signed a deal with WWE. So for those who don't know, Donovan Dijak several months ago had been announced that he signed with WWE. We haven't seen him just yet, but he's been in the Performance Center prepping his debut. And then, of course, two very big guys in the indie scene or in the pro wrestling scene, War Machine. So if you guys didn't know about that, War Machine is also reportedly going to WWE in 2018. But let's go back to Ricochet coming to WWE. And I really want to hear your guys' feedback on this because it gets kind of tricky when you talk about Lucha Underground, right? For those who don't know what I'm talking about, the biggest reason why Ricochet probably hasn't come to WWE or Impact Wrestling anytime sooner was because of Lucha Underground. So I'm not really sure how to feel about this. You know, it's a tough situation. Lucha Underground has no guaranteed contract at this point with Ricochet. He doesn't re-sign with Lucha Underground. He's not scheduled to be on an upcoming season. And the whole idea of Lucha Underground as a company in general is kind of up in the air right now. Which definitely sucks because it's an alternative to WWE and TNA. It's definitely an alternative to a pro wrestling show. But at the same time, too, Lucha Underground has kind of struggled. And with that being said, Ricochet, who plays a character on Lucha Underground, is finally going to make his WWE debut. But that's the reason why it hasn't been done sooner. So the idea that Ricochet, he may have come sooner to WWE. I don't know if timing was good in that situation. I think when you look at NXT's brand right now, obviously it's really, really hot right now. So I do think timing right now is perfect for a Ricochet debut. And also, let me just make it clear, with WrestleMania weekend and everything like that, Ricochet has enough of a following with social media that I think anytime from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, it makes a lot of sense. But here's where it gets kind of tricky, right? The NXT Championship is kind of crowded. That whole division is crowded. And I think Ricochet shouldn't really be in NXT for that long. I think maybe it's like a one takeover type of thing and then go straight to the main roster. And here's why I firmly believe this. And I know a lot of people will not agree with some of the things I want to say in this video. And that's completely okay with me. But if I'm just being honest with you guys, NXT's world title picture is so hot right now. A lot of people are talking. A lot of people are going crazy about it. We obviously still haven't seen Aleister Black win the belt. We want to see that happen. We want to see Gargano. And then, obviously, fantasy bookings got you thinking that Ciampa might be returning and going for the belt. And then you have guys like Killian Dane. Killian Dane is so great. And then, obviously, you have, Adam Cole. So there's just so many people that are in line for that belt. Ricochet doesn't need the belt. I think Ricochet's presence alone can really elevate a brand for WWE. So again, please don't hate on me when I say this. But WWE has a television show right now that is truly struggling. It's kind of become a comedy in a sense, and that is 205 Live. So maybe a one takeover deal for Ricochet makes the most sense. I think, Hideo Itami brings legitimate wrestling to 205 Live. And you get that with Drew Gulak and Arya Daivari, and you're going to get that with Brian Kendrick. You're going to get that with some of those guys, Gran Metalik. You're going to see that those guys can truly wrestle. But one thing that you're not going to see on 205 Live is a lot of attention to it. It's almost become like WWE's comedy special in a way. It's like 205 Live should be WWE's indie programming for the smaller guys that people who want to watch wrestling can watch wrestling. And when you see a guy like Enzo Amore, listen, I'm not going to say, look, he is a bad wrestler, okay? He's not a great wrestler. But Enzo Amore has brought a lot of spotlight to 205 Live, which in some aspects is great, but it's hard to take 205 Live seriously. Put Ricochet on 205 Live. Get rid of the purple branding. Get rid of the honestly, I hate saying this, get rid of the 205 Live show. Get rid of the show. Have a cruiserweight division. You have so many talented guys. Get rid of all the purple. Get a new color title belt. It doesn't even have to be a different design, okay? But have Ricochet join the cruiserweight division and get rid of this comedic stigma that resonates so closely to this division. Because I know people aren't going to like the idea of Ricochet with the current state of 205 Live, but if you give it a chance and you change 205 Live and just get rid of it, or completely rebrand it, reshape it, retool it, make it a serious wrestling show. Make the division all about pro wrestling. We've seen some factors with Nia Jax and Enzo Amore, and I get it. I understand why they're doing it. It's going to bring some spotlight to it. But this is where I have to rant, okay? And I hate ranting, but 205 Live Tour, they're a set of live shows. Tickets obviously aren't selling well when you have to promote Woken Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt, which both, by the way, I don't even think I have to tell you guys. So bring Ricochet into NXT, bring Ricochet into the Cruiserweight division, scrap the idea of 205 Live, unless you could completely rebrand it. But at this point, I think there's no return at this point for 205 Live. It's got a very bad stigma. So keep the Cruiserweight division, change the colors, get rid of the purple belts, and have a guy like Ricochet. And this is the thing that you guys will like, but it when you span it over time, you're going to notice that it's going to just take time. Patience is key here. But this is what you're going to love. A guy like Ricochet, who, smaller guy, but has charisma, great in-ring ability. He's pretty much got the it factor. The only difference is he's not 6'9" and 300 pounds of all muscle. But Ricochet has a lot of charisma. And I've said this before with Finn Balor, and I'm going to say it with Ricochet as well. I think these are the only two pro wrestlers in wrestling right now that look smaller that can be bigger in reality. And I think the idea of Ricochet being a cruiserweight that eventually cashes in his cruiserweight belt for a championship opportunity for the world championship belt is very believable. And I like to kind of compare this to Impact Wrestling when they had Option C. So an X Division wrestler could cash in their belt for an opportunity. That was a very awesome idea years ago back in TNA Impact. So if I'm the WWE, you really want to pull off a David and Goliath storyline. There's two guys right now that I feel like who could really, really do it, and that's Finn Balor and Ricochet. So even though you guys hate the idea of Ricochet going to 205 or going to the Cruiserweight division, just understand that would be my end goal, and that I think we can all agree with, eventually seeing Ricochet going for the world title. Now, one last thing I have to mention in this situation with Ricochet coming to WWE. One last thing. He's got the potential. He's got the moveset. He's going to be fine on the mic. I don't think that's really a concern. But Ricochet is a special wrestler. And when I think of Ricochet in the WWE, I automatically have to think Neville has to return. And they have to stop putting the stigma and this negative connotation that small guys can't be bigger than life personalities.